Part 53. Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 521. Amitba. The right path in the world is the great road. Mr. Zyman, please don't go astray. After Wang Ye left, Buddha Wuji clasped his hands together, chanted the Buddha's name, and left immediately. Su Yang. Du Fei Yang from the Du family in Shencheng stared at Su Yang with cold eyes, then turned and walked away. He already knew what happened at Evian Villa in Jiangbei. It was Su Yang who killed his father Du Mingyuan. Therefore, Du Fei Yang hated Su Yang deeply, but he did not want to be associated with Zyman Huxiao. The Du family is also an ancient martial arts family. The ancestor of the Zyman family, Zyman Fenjiun, attempted to unify the ancient martial arts family. He once went to Shencheng, and the two sides had an unpleasant quarrel. Du Kun, the ancestor of the Du family, was even injured by Zyman Fenjiun, and the two families were at odds. Everyone knows the Zyman family's ambitions, so Du Fei Yang naturally doesn't want to seek skin from a tiger. Moreover, he is very confident in his own strength. If he meets Su Yang in the ring, if he invites three ancestors to get on him, no one will be his opponent. It will be easy to kill Su Yang. Hu Xiao, I told you not to propose dealing with Su Yang in public. It's useless. At this time, Zyman Longjian said in a reprimanding tone, these top geniuses are all proud and complacent and maintain their own status. They will not use despicable means with you. Brother, I just wanted to give it a try. Now I understand that your analysis is right. Zyman Huxiao said politely, I will feel relieved when the Zyman family is in the hands of the eldest brother. Hearing this, Zyman Longjian showed an arrogant look on his face and smiled softly, Huxiao, just obey my instructions honestly from now on. Don't do anything I don't let you do. Just like what happened today, this thing must never happen again. Don't worry, big brother won't treat you badly, after all, we are brothers. Okay, thank you, brother. Zyman Huxiao nodded respectfully, like a child who had done something wrong. However, a playful sneer flashed across his eyes, and he didn't take Zyman Longjian to heart at all. Hee. Go crazy, Zyman Longjian, now I'm spoiling you and letting you, and soon you will know what I really am like. Okay, go and get ready. You have a competition today. You must win the promotion spot. You must not lose the face of the Zyman family, Zyman Longjian said arrogantly. Yes, sir. Zyman Huxiao bowed respectfully and walked away. Watching Zyman Huxiao leave, Zyman Longjian raised the corners of his mouth slightly, and the arrogance in his eyes disappeared, replaced by an imperceptible sneer. Zyman Huxiao, after all, you are too young. You are still too green to play with your elder brother. Zyman Longjian shook his head and then stopped staying at the scene. He has seen all the true geniuses of the 100 sex martial arts, and except for a few, the rest are not to be feared. These geniuses in the ancient martial arts world are all top-notch in qualifications. Even if they choose to cultivate, they can still achieve great achievements. From this point of view, the earth is full of talents. Su Yang stared at the genius in the distance and couldn't help but say, no wonder the immortal emperor from outside the territory was afraid of the Qi practitioners of the pre-Qin dynasty, for fear that those cultivators would become stronger and beyond his control. Speaking of which, what are the three great immortal emperors from outside the territory trying to verify, and why are they monitoring the earth? Although the ancient martial arts system is not as good as the cultivation system, it must have been developed by the immortal emperor from outside the territory. Why do they provide a new system to the people on earth? After the 100 Sex Martial Arts Association, the Ancient Martial Arts Association was reformed. Does this have something to do with the conspiracy of the immortal emperor from outside the territory? Su Yang frowned slightly, puzzled. Su Yang. At this moment, Zhao Zhiruo suddenly appeared, standing not far from Su Yang, his jade face slightly red. Mrs. Hiruo. Su Yang came back to his senses, his eyes fell on Zhao's Hiruo, and he smiled softly, "What can I do for you?" "Su Yang, did you choose to step down from the ring yesterday to let me down on purpose?" Zhao's Hiruo went straight to the point and looked at Su Yang with a pair of beautiful eyes, a glimmer of expectation in her eyes. Just like that, the last game of the Easter tournament begins. "However, Mr. Su, there will be no resurrection match in the next competition. Don't forget our agreement. If you are eliminated, after the 100 sex martial arts competition, I will release you without hesitation." Lan Miaoi said seriously. "You and I know very well what happened the day before yesterday, so don't mention it again. These games are all tough battles, and there is no particularly outstanding talent." At this time, the philanthropic master on the high seat suddenly spoke and said in a deep voice, "Come here, stand next to me, and don't get close to that prodigal son Su Yang." Su Yang said against his will, "Mrs. Hiruo has superb swordsmanship. I know I am no match for you, so I voluntarily admit defeat. Everything happened for a reason yesterday, don't worry, from now on I will be victorious and unstoppable," Su Yang said confidently. Unexpectedly, Mr. Su was so powerful that he scared away all his opponents as soon as he stood on the ring. Su Yang smiled softly and said, "Miss Miaoi, what are you doing here?" Lan Miaoi responded, "I had something to do yesterday, so I didn't come to watch the game. I heard that Mr. Su was eliminated and will play in the rematch today, so I came over to take a look." "Mr. Su, what are you talking about? The night before yesterday at Chunguang Tower, you personally admitted that you wanted my body, and now you are putting up your pants and denying me." Lan Miaoi exhaled. Zhao's Hiruo was a little disappointed, then she gritted her teeth and said, "You are obviously showing humility to me. Your strength is not weaker than mine. Su Yang, do you like? Good." Lan Miaoi smiled playfully and said, "He is indeed the man I like, he is brave." "Miss Miaoi. You're lying." "Yes. He. It seems that the scandal between Su Yang and Lan Miaoi is true. I'm so jealous. I envy Su Yang." Lan Miaoi nodded solemnly, and then said, "I attract too much attention. I don't like to be watched. Mr. Su, I'm leaving first. If you want to see me, you can come to Chunguang Tower at any time." After Lan Miaoi left, the martial arts competition of hundreds of sects continued. Watch the game. As soon as Lan Miaoi appeared, everyone at the scene looked over. There was no way, no one wanted to take a second look at this peerless beauty. Faced with the master's order, Zhao's Hiruo obeyed. After holding the sword and clasping his fists, he turned back 3 times and walked away reluctantly. After leaving a word, Lan Miaoi, who was wearing a white gauze, rose into the air and slowly floated away. At this time, Lan Miaoi from Chunguang Tower came quietly and said with a smile, "Master Su, you are very charming. Just playing a game has captured the heart of Imei Zhao's Hiruo. If I become your woman, won't I have to be on tenterhooks every day from now on, worrying that you will find a new love?" Su Yang smiled and said, "For now, you are worrying too much. This is not an issue you need to consider." She went directly to Su Yang. What were the two of them talking about? Around afternoon, it was finally the turn of the 8th track of the Easter race. Lan Miaoi is here to watch the game. No. Zhang Magu and Ximen Huxiao both appeared on the stage, and other contestants also entered the ring one after another. Correction, that's not a scandal, that's a fact, okay. I was there that night, and Lan Miaoi's hair was messy and her clothes were disheveled. There's no way it's fake. Hiruo. Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 522. Boom. 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 For a moment, the Genkai was raging in the middle arena, and dozens of contestants were fighting on their own. Because there are two slightly famous geniuses on the field, one is Ximen Huxiao from the Ximen family, and the other is Zhang Magu from the Fenyang Zhang family. The other contestants on the stage knew very well that their chances of advancing were slim or even non-existent. So they did some activities first to warm up the arena, and they couldn't just give in and walk off the stage. Yesterday, the contestants on track 7 surrendered as soon as they came on stage and were scolded badly afterwards. Especially the genius named Chi Yun, who came to Wudane Mountain by chartered flight with a lot of luggage and high hopes from the elders of the sect. It is said that what he eats is also very particular. They are precious sea cucumbers specially flown in. He eats several of them every day to replenish his physical strength, which costs a lot of money. According to him, eating sea cucumbers is good for your health and will give you more energy to play games. But in the end, when he came to the ring and faced Mr. Modeo's poisonous mist, his face changed with fear, and he surrendered with everyone without hesitation. This incident became a joke in the 100 Sex Martial Arts Association. Chi Yun was completely disgraced and had already left Wudang in despair. Although the contestant on the stage knew that he would lose, he did not want to become a laughing stock, so he fought with all his strength. But Zhang Magu and Ximen Huxiao, however, stood on the east and west sides of the ring respectively, looking at each other, but they had not yet made a move. However, the two men were at war with each other, and the atmosphere at the scene was very heavy. It seemed that they would fight at the next moment. Ximen Tiger roars. At this time, Zhang Magu stared at Ximen Tiger roar, his eyes burning with anger, and gritted his teeth and said, "Let's understand our grudges today." He. Ximen Huxiao said impatiently, "Zhang Magu, you are just a mad dog. I told you, I just injured your sister. As for why she disappeared later, it has nothing to do with me. Why do you insist on biting me and not letting go?" Ximen Huxiao raised his eyebrows. Snored. Zhang Magu said angrily, "Ximen Huxiao, don't think I don't know. A few days after the incident, you had a female corpse dragged out of your manor and buried on the spot. That female corpse was tortured to pieces by you, and there is not a single piece of skin on her body." Zhang Magu continued, "As far as I know, you have a special habit and you will torture and kill women every now and then, with extremely cruel methods." As soon as these words came out, the scene exploded instantly, and the audience all looked at Ximen Huxiao with disdain. There is such a thing. Ximen Tiger Roar is too special, isn't it? I didn't expect second young master Ximen to be a pervert. I don't know how many innocent women died at his hands. Damn it, men can be sentimental, they can be sentimental, but don't be perverted. I have no feelings for Ximen Tiger Roar for a moment. Hush, now that the Ximen family is at its peak, be careful that trouble comes from your mouth. Zhang Magu. When Ximen Huxiao heard Zhang Magu reveal all his bad things, he immediately became angry and said, "I admit that I have some special hobbies, but I told you, I have never met your sister." Snored. "Do you think I'm a 3-year-old? Zhang Magu said coldly, "My sister was seriously injured and dying. Will you let her go easily? Don't explain Ximen Tiger Roar. It's useless to talk too much. Today, I will make you pay with blood." After the words fell, Zhang Magu did not hesitate at all. He placed the big animal skin drum on the ground and jumped towards Ximen Huxiao. "Ha ha, Zhang Magu, do you think I'm afraid of you? Your sister is no match for me, let alone you. The Fenyang drum and the small drum are all tricks and are vulnerable to a single blow." Ximen Huxiao showed a sneer, then took the initiative to meet him and charged towards him. Just like that, the two of them started fighting, punching each other hard, with no clear outcome. This was just the beginning. Zhang Magu didn't use the big animal skin drum, Ximen Huxiao used his unique skills, the two just tested each other. At this time, below the arena, Brother Magoo, come on, you can do it, Wang Fugui whispered to Zhang Magoo. This Ximen Huxiao is not weak at all. Su Yang next to him said, if the fight continues like this, Zhang Magoo will be defeated within 100 rounds. However, Brother Magoo will definitely not get entangled with Ximen Huxiao. It must be just a test now, and he will use the animal skin drum soon. Su Yang smiled softly. Cousin. Shi Jushin came over, first greeted Su Yang, then his eyes fell on the ring, and then said, Zhang Magoo is an underestimated talent, even Buddha Wuji has suffered at his hands. Although Buddha Ziwiji was hurt by love and his strength has not improved in 3 years, he is still extremely powerful. The 5 drum sounds of Zhang Mu's drum can drive away the Buddha's disciple Wuji. It is really not weak. Shi Jushin said with expectation, I really want to see how powerful his animal skin drum is. Haha, you can see it soon, huh. Su Yang smiled, and as he was talking, he suddenly noticed the changes in Shi Jushin, and asked doubtfully, cousin, have you set foot in Shenzone? Shi Jushin nodded and said, it's impossible not to advance. There are too many strong enemies in this year's 100 sect competition. Last night I entered the early stage of the Shen section. I joined the Shen zone overnight, my cousin is awesome. Su Yang smiled softly. This is nothing. I could have broken through a long time ago. I just suppressed it. Shi Jushin smiled and said, besides, the superficial level is not important. The battle between masters mainly depends on combat effectiveness. There have been people who used the realm of Tianzone to crush Shenzone, and there are also people who have just entered Shenzone and can obliterate the peak of Shenzone. Combat power is the key, Shi Jushin said with a smile on his face. Cousin, if you put it this way, you can defeat the peak of Shenzone now, Su Yang asked curiously. I cannot. Shi Jushin shook his head and said, have I mastered the Taishan magic skill to a high level? Otherwise, I can do it. Taishan magic kung fu, Su Yang asked doubtfully, what kind of martial arts is that? Cousin, can you let me see it? If tomorrow in the 20-10 competition, my opponent is a genius like Wudane Wanjai and Fozawuji, you will naturally be able to experience the magical power of Mount Tai, but not now. Shi Jushin continued, cousin, it's not that I'm stingy. The main reason is that Taishan's magical power is special and can only be used once in a short period of time. Furthermore, an ancient warrior who practices the Taishan magic art is limited to the number of times he can use the Taishan magic art in his lifetime. It cannot exceed 100 times. Shi Jushin said seriously, as we all know, there are only 100 magical skills in Taishan. Every time you use it, it squeezes the body's functions. Normally it is nothing, but after 100 times, your body will explode and die. So, cousin, I can't demonstrate this magical skill to you, Shi Jushin said with a smile. Understood. Su Yang nodded when he heard this. He had seen similar secret techniques in the Xiantian immortal realm, squeezing himself to seek short-term power. His secret technique of blood sacrifice is also one of them. However, the secret technique of blood sacrifice can replenish qi and blood through medicinal materials and elixirs. Taishan's magic power should also be possible. As long as you find the right method, it can be replenished, but people from Taishan may not understand it. Why? At this time, Shi Jushin sighed and said, the Taishan magic skill will hurt the body after all. My grandfather Shi Huhan seems to have used it 99 times. If he uses Taishan's magic again, he will explode and die the moment the magic's effect ends. Shi Jushin whispered, so, my grandfather has lived in seclusion over the years and rarely shows up. So much so that our right to speak in the ancient martial arts world has been challenged. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 523. Shi Jushin continued, cousin, you are the master of the Medicine King Palace now, right? Some time ago, several first-rate forces, under the instruction of the Ximen family, put pressure on the Medicine King Palace to obtain cultivation resources. In the past, this kind of thing would never have happened. After all, Yaoang Palace pays tribute to the three major forces of the Zen Temple, between the mountains and the sea, and deep in the clouds every year. Our Zen Temple has taken advantage of the Yaoang Temple. Shi Jushin said proudly, with our Mount Tai taking care of us, even if we are Ximen Fenjiun, I don't dare to be presumptuous. My grandfather alone can suppress the Ximen family and not be able to hold their heads up. But it can't be done now. My grandfather only had one chance to use Taishan's magical power, so he chose to remain silent and did not ask anything about the oppression at Yaoang Palace. Not only my grandfather, but also the old poisonous man deep in the clouds who practices the secret art of reincarnation has been missing for more than 10 years. Shi Jushin continued, of the three major forces, only Old Man Lishan is left between the mountains and the sea. However, Old Man Lishan has no intention of interfering with Gyuwa's affairs. He only wants to challenge Wu Tianji sect, regain the title of Taoist orthodoxy, and make the world's #1 Taoist religion among mountains and seas. Shi Jushin smiled bitterly and said, so this year, Lishan did not send young talents to participate in the 100 sex martial arts competition. Only the old people from Lishan came and were recuperating outside Wudang ancient town, waiting to participate in the famous mountain challenge. In today's ancient martial arts world, it is almost difficult to find a few people who can truly compete with Ximen Fenjiun. Shi Jushin suddenly thought of Ali and smiled, however, this protector of yours should be counted as one. With her here, even if you make trouble in the 100 sex martial arts competition, you will definitely be able to escape unscathed. No one from the major sects can stop you, stay with you. But, cousin, during the 100 sex martial arts competition, you must be careful and don't take it lightly because you think you are a cultivator at the 9th level of Qi training. Shi Jushin looked at Su Yang and reminded, not only do I have a trump card, the top 20 in the 100 sex martial arts competition must all have their own unique secret techniques, which should not be underestimated. Especially Wudang Wangya and Fozawuji, if you encounter them, you must not take it lightly, Shi Jushin said seriously. Well, thank you cousin for reminding me, Su Yang nodded and said with a smile, I will be careful. That's good, Shi Jushin nodded gently. Collapse. While the two were talking, a loud noise suddenly came from the middle arena. It's Zhang Magu. He knew that he couldn't defeat Ximen Huxiang with his bare hands, so he picked up the animal skin drum and played the first drum sound, Open the Sky. In an instant, a terrifying wave of sound rang out in the arena, powerful and deafening. Immediately afterwards, the other contestants on the ring were affected and stopped one after another, trying hard to overcome the impact of the sound waves. Collapse. But before they could stabilize themselves, Zhang Magu's hand slapped the big animal skin drum again, making a second drum sound, cracking the ground. At this moment, the contestants on the stage were filled with anger and blood, and their faces were a little pale. A few of the weaker ones even started vomiting blood and staggering. Everyone, please step down. The arena no longer belongs to you. The third drum sound cuts off the water, and you can't bear it, at this time, Zhang Magu reminded. Okay, I admit defeat. Thank you Mr. Zhang for your mercy. Master Zhang, the arena is for you, I hope you can win. In an instant, the other contestants jumped off the ring and chose to admit defeat. These people all admired Zhang Magu very much and did not feel ashamed to lose to Zhang Magu. At the same time, some people even supported Zhang Magu despite the pressure from the Ximen family, which shows how unpopular Ximen Huxiao is. Soon, only Zhang Magu and Ximen Huxiao were left in the arena. Zhang Magu's two previous sonic attacks did not cause any damage to Ximen Huxiao. He. At this moment, Ximen Huxiao said sarcastically, Zhang Magu, is this your strength? Fenjiang's big drum is nothing more than that. Snort. This is just the beginning. Soon you will know that it is the real Fenyang drum. Zhang Magu was carrying a large animal skin drum on his shoulders, his eyes were stern, and then he whispered, cut, the water. Collapse. Zhang Magu's palm then hit the head of the big animal skin drum, and in an instant, terrifying sound waves centered on him and swept across all directions. The third drum sound was used yesterday when Zhang Magu and Wang Fugui were competing. It was very powerful and an ordinary middle-level Shenzone man would definitely not be able to withstand it. Boom. Boom. Ximen Huxiao, on the other hand, easily received all Zhang Magu's attacks with just one disc. When Zhang Magu heard this, his eyes were filled with rage, and he immediately played the fourth drum sound, leveling the mountain. What? I saw him opening his arms, opening and closing them widely, and soon a thick disc of true energy formed in his arms. Hunyuan Divine Art. In an instant, the Genkai disc collided with the sound wave, and the aftermath of the battle spread out in all directions, making it difficult to open one's eyes. Su Yang sighed and persuaded, come down, the outcome of this competition has been decided. The sound waves you hit were more than half weakened by his clothes. If you continue to hit them, your body will be unable to bear it and fall first. At this moment, Su Yang in the audience saw the clues about Ximen Huxiao at a glance and said, stop fighting. The clothes on Ximen Huxiao are specially made with a honeycomb design and are specially used to deal with you of. Well done. The disc collides with the sonic air wave. Zhang Magu was furious, his eyes full of doubts, and then he played the fourth drum sound one after another, leveling the mountain. But Ximen Huxiao is the outstanding genius of the Ximen family. He has been trained by Ximen Fenjiun since he was a child, so how can he be ordinary? Immediately afterwards, Ximen Huxiao, on the other hand, also suffered some minor injuries and stood still without moving. When the power dissipated, everyone looked over and found that Zhang Magu took half a step back and there was a trace of blood on the corner of his mouth. How so? The sound waves played by Zhang Mu's drum were like hitting a sponge, but they were all resolved by the Ximen tiger roar. However, a surprising scene happened. Ximen Huxiao did not move at all, and was not even injured. This time, Ximen Huxiao showed a playful smile, and then took off his outer clothes. Collapse. Brother Mugu. Why has the power of my drum sound decreased so much? Immediately, Ximen Hu roared loudly, and the Genkai disc in his arms rushed out. Collapse. The sound wave played by Zhang Mu's drum was several times more powerful than the last time, but Ximen Tiger Roar met the attack with the same strength just now. Logically speaking, he would definitely lose. It has to be said that the Fenyang drum was so powerful. The sound of the fourth drum actually shook the space with a buzzing sound, and the entire floor of the arena was blown away by the sound waves. Collapse. Haha, Zhang Magu, is this all you have? Ximen Huxiao said with a sarcastic smile. Collapse. He stood on the spot and used the Hunyuan divine art without increasing his strength. He was as calm as before. Zhang Mu's drumming became more and more anxious, and finally he even became a little crazy, muttering, this is impossible, absolutely impossible. With Zhang Magu's current strength, his body couldn't bear the continuous use of Ping Shan, and his face soon became even paler, and he vomited blood while fighting. Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 524. Hearing Su Yang's words, Zhang Magu suddenly understood and stared at Ximen Tiger Roar with gritted teeth. The audience in the audience finally reacted and looked at Ximen Huxiao with eyes full of contempt. Damn it, second young master Ximen can't afford to lose. He knew he couldn't beat him, so he tampered with his clothes. The honeycomb design is a compressed honeycomb. The sound waves produced by Zhangmu's drum will first be partially consumed by Ximen Huxiao's Hunyuan divine art. The rest will be infinitely consumed by the honeycomb as long as it is close to Ximen Huxiao, until it has no impact at all. This is a slap in the face. This dress must be quite heavy, and it must be uncomfortable to wear. Ximen Huxiao obviously put on the honeycomb-designed clothes specifically for Zhang Magu. This is also a means. Although it is not glorious, as long as you can win, who cares about this? I'm afraid that this year's 100 sex martial arts competition, Zhang Magu will stop here, and from now on, Fenyang Daegu and Ziogu will probably withdraw from the 100 sex martial arts competition. After all, which sect can't afford the honeycomb design? The clothes are nothing more than spending more money. Everyone at the scene was talking a lot. Some people criticized Ximen Huxiao, while others felt that Ximen Huxiao did something reasonable. Young Master Su, thank you for reminding me. At this time, Zhang Magu looked at Su Yang and said firmly, but, I still want to give it a try. Okay, be careful, Su Yang continued, don't forget what I told you before, don't act recklessly. Zhang Magu nodded, then his eyes fell on Ximen Huxiao, and he said coldly, Ximen Huxiao, you are really despicable, you will use these shady methods, take off your clothes if you have the ability, and follow me openly. A fight. Haha, we can win easily, so why should I lose both sides with you? Ximen Huxiao smiled playfully and said, Zhang Magu, don't waste your breath. Can't you make 5 drum sounds? I heard that even the Buddha's disciple Wuji was forced to retreat by you. Come on, type it out and let me have a look. I want to see if Buddha's attack has any effect on me, Ximen Huxiao said confidently. Snort. The 5th drum sound, annihilation, is my secret skill in life. Even now, I need to consume energy and blood before I can force it. Zhang Magu stared coldly at Ximen Huxiao and said solemnly, but I'm not afraid. This move was originally prepared for you. So what if you are wearing honeycomb-designed clothes? In the face of absolute power, any design is in vain. Annihilation. After the words fell, Zhang Magu let out a loud roar, his whole body's true energy surged, his body emitted a bright light, and the surrounding air buzzed. Immediately afterwards, he raised his arms high, with Genkai flowing freely in his palms, and slapped the animal skin drum heavily. Collapse. Accompanied by a deafening loud noise, a huge and terrifying sound wave swept the entire place instantly. Wherever the sound waves passed, the arena instantly turned into powder. It's so strong. Facing Zhang Magu's last move, Ximen Huxiao frowned, obviously not daring to underestimate him. His most powerful method is the Hunyuan divine skill, which can be used both offensively and defensively. It's just that Ximen Huxiao didn't use all his strength just now, but now, he doesn't dare to hide his clumsiness anymore. Then, Ximen Huxiao danced his hands, and powerful Genkai instantly gathered in his arms, eventually forming a Genkai millstone that was twice the size of the previous one, used to withstand the sound wave of Zhangmu's drum. Boom! The next moment, sound waves swept over and collided with the infuriating disc. But the sound was penetrating, and instantly passed through the disc of true energy, attacking the Ximen tiger and roaring away. It's just a pity that the clothes designed by Ximen Huxiao Honeycomb have played a huge role. The powerful sonic air wave, when approaching Ximen tiger roar, is like sinking into the sea, and its power is infinitely weakened. In the end, Ximen Huxiao only took half a step back. Puff. But Zhang Magu spat out a mouthful of blood because he forced the 5th path of annihilation. Haha, Zhang Magu, don't waste your efforts, you can't hurt me. Seeing this, Ximen Huxiao smiled playfully. However, there was a trace of panic in his heart. Because he felt that Zhang Magu's last move could pose a threat to his clothes. If you come here a few more times, your custom-made honeycomb clothes will be destroyed. By then, he would have lost his biggest support. Facing Jongmagu would inevitably involve a lot of effort, and he might not even win, so Ximen Huxiao would engage in psychological warfare, hoping that Jongmagu would retreat in spite of the difficulties. Snort. Annihilation. 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 Jongmagu was unmoved by this, and then gritted his teeth and fired 3 annihilations in succession. Collapse. 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 Then, 3 terrifying sound waves were like huge waves, one after another, attacking Ximen Huxiao. Hunyuan Divine Art. Ximen Huxiao's heart tightened, and he hurriedly responded with all his strength, finally blocking Jongmagu's attack. At the same time, spider web-like cracks appeared on his clothes. Presumably, with 1 or 2 more similar attacks, the clothes would fall apart. Puff. Just when Ximen Huxiao was worried, Jongmagu put the animal skin drum on his shoulder under his feet, and then suddenly supported the animal skin drum, half knelt on the ground, and spit out a pool of blood, his face extremely pale. The end of the strong crossbow. Now Jongmagu has reached the end of his strength. He can hit up to 4 annihilations at a time. Certainly. If he tries his best and risks his life, Jongmagu can play it again. But in this case, he will definitely die. Now, Jongmagu is caught in a dilemma. Should he fight to the death? He. Seeing this, Ximen Huxiao immediately realized Jongmagu's dilemma, and said with a playful smile, Jongmagu, your strength is really not good, you are really rubbish. By the way, do you know how I defeated your sister 2 years ago? Ximen Huxiao continued, thanks to this dress, your sister was unable to fight back. I have to say that you are better than your sister. You can actually make my clothes crack. It's already amazing. Ximen Huxiao continued, if it weren't for this piece of clothing, it would be hard to say who would win between the 2 of us, but now, you are definitely losing. After the words fell, the corners of Ximen Huxiao's mouth rose, and then he stepped forward, intending to fight quickly. Annihilation, annihilation. Seeing this, Jongmagu gritted his teeth and stood up forcefully, raising his arms high, ready to fight to the death. Twilight Drum. At this time, Zhang Tianli, who was sitting on the high seat, stood up immediately, his eyes full of worry. As Jongmagu's grandfather, he naturally knew the consequences of Jongmagu's blow, so he wanted to stop it. Zhang Tianli, don't interfere with the game. Isn't this what you have always emphasized? At this time, Ximen Fenjiun released a touch of power and said coldly, what, now you want to break the rules yourself? Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 525. Humph, Ximen Fenjiun, so what? Naturally, Zhang Tianli would not just watch something happen to his grandson, so he desperately confronted Ximen Fenjiun, and the atmosphere at the scene was tense. Brother Mugu. At this moment, Su Yang in the audience spoke, his eyes fell on Jongmagu, and he shook his head gently, Ximen Huxiao is not even as good as a dog, don't be impulsive, it's not worth it, and your sister doesn't want you to something happened. Elder sister. Jongmagu had already prepared to fight desperately, but after hearing Su Yang's words, he slowly lowered his arms and said in despair, I lost. It's too late to admit defeat now. Ximen Huxiao refused to let go of Jongmagu. He had already arrived at Jongmagu's side and struck with all his strength, preparing to kill Jongmagu. Stop. Jongmagu has already admitted defeat, you are not allowed to do anything again. Seeing this, the 2 on-site referees appeared in front of Jongmagu and took action at the same time to stop Ximen Huxiao. Jongmagu, good luck to you, don't let me seize the opportunity, otherwise I will kill you. Ximen Huxiao said coldly, temporarily giving up the idea of killing Jongmagu. The on-site referees are all veteran Taoist priests from Tianji sect, and each of them has reached the peak of Shen zone. This kind of strength cannot be dealt with by Ximen Huxiao. In addition, this year's 100 Sex Martial Arts competition will be held in Wudane Mountain, and Wu Tianji sect is a force that even his ancestor Ximen Fenjiun is afraid of. Ximen Huxiao naturally has to give face and does not dare to act recklessly in front of the on-site referee. The eighth track of the resurrection competition, the winner, Ximen Tiger Roar. After the on-site referee announced the result of the game, Ximen Huxiao walked off the ring. Su Yang and Wang Fugui came over quickly. Among them, Wang Fugui helped Zhang Magu and asked worriedly, "Brother Magu, how do you feel? Are you okay?" "I'm fine, don't worry, I'll recover in a while." Zhang Magu smiled bitterly and said, "It's a pity that I lost this game. Winning or losing is a normal thing for a soldier. Besides, it's not your fault." Ximen Huxiao is so cunning that he was prepared in advance. Wang Fugui consoled him. "Why?" Zhang Magu sighed deeply, turned to look at Zhang Tianli on the high seat, and said with a guilty look on his face, "Grandpa, I'm sorry, my grandson has let you down." "Mugu, don't say that, you have already done a good job." Zhang Tianli met Zhang Magu's gaze and breathed a sigh of relief and said, "Grandpa feels relieved when he sees that you are fine. Don't be stupid next time. His Ximen Tiger Roar is just a piece of shit. Mr. Su is right, it's not worth it." Having said this, Zhang Tianli's eyes fell on Su Yang and said gratefully, "Master Su, thanks to you for persuading Mugu just now, I would like to thank you here." "Mr. Zhang, you're welcome." Su Yang responded with a smile and said, "Although I don't have much contact with Brother Mugu and we have known each other for a short time, we are old friends. I regard him as a brother. There is no need for Mr. Zhang to be alienated from me. Also, I know that he participated in the 100 Sex Martial Arts competition this time to kill Ximen Huxiao." Su Yang glanced at Ximen Fenjiun on the high seat, and said without hesitation, "Now he has failed, but I can do the things that Brother Mugu has not completed." The Ximen family teamed up with other major forces to destroy the Kunlun Su family, and then occupied the Magpie's Nest. "It's time to collect some interest." Su Yang sneered and said, "In the next game, if I encounter Ximen Tiger Roar, I will kill it with my own hands." "Ha ha ha, okay, I'll leave it to Mr. Su." Hearing this, Zhang Tianli also glanced at Ximen Fenjiun, and then laughed heartily. "Ha ha, don't speak so early, be careful that Feng De flashes your tongue." "I see." Su Yang and Wang Fugui also left the three major arenas and went straight to Zhifeng Inn, intending to see if Su Yuya woke up. Zhang Magu also followed. After drinking for 3 rounds, Zhang Magu thought of his dead sister and suddenly had tears in his eyes. "As long as you can get the first place in the martial arts competition of hundreds of sects, I will allow you to enter the gate of Mount Tai and recognize you as my grandson. If not, you will never get even half a step closer to Mount Tai in your life, let alone see your mother." After leaving a word, Shi Hehan did not stop and left the scene. "Grandpa, my cousin didn't mean that. It was more difficult for Shi Jushin to be caught in the middle, so he sighed and went after Shi Hehan." After Su Yang heard this, he was stunned on the spot. This name was so familiar. In this way, Su Yang, Wang Fugui, and Zhang Magu came to a relatively remote tavern in the east of Wudang ancient town, ordered some dishes, and started drinking and chatting. Su Yang found Zhang Magu in Wang Fugui's room and used some methods to treat Zhang Magu. Shi Hehan did not leave. He looked down at Su Yang and said calmly, "I think Zhang's Hongaya has already told you what I mean." Shi Jushin next to him saw Shi Hehan angry and was about to explain, but Shi Hehan had already walked away. "Cousin, hey, forget it, I'd better go and comfort Grandpa. Boy from the Su family." Originally, Zhang Magu's injury would take at least half a month to recover, but after Su Yang's intervention, he recovered as before that night. Su Yang said seriously, After the 100 sex martial arts competition, I will go to Kunlun first, and then go to Mount Tai to pick up my mother. Shihan, I hope you won't stop me when the time comes, otherwise don't blame me for being rude. Now that the Easter match is over, the old antiques on the high seats have also left one after another. Shihan was stunned by Su Yang's words. He paused for a few seconds and then said, it's a good thing for young people to have ambitious goals, but don't be too arrogant. Are you determined to win the first place in the 100 sex martial arts competition? In response, Ximen Fenjian showed a playful smile and then left the scene. Su Yang comforted Zhang Magu, then picked up a bowl of wine and said, by the way, what's your sister's name? The three of us brothers will toast her together. P.S. Sister Zhang Magu's name has appeared before. Li Feixuan knows her, so you can take a guess. Su Yang said coldly, you imprisoned my mother and prevented our family from being reunited. Do you think I will be grateful to you? If you show mercy and recognize me, I will be very happy. You. This made Zhang Magu exclaim that he was miraculous, and forced Su Yang to invite him to drink. In my opinion, you can't even make it into the top 10, you will be eliminated tomorrow. Haha, let's wait and see, Su Yang smiled as he watched Shihan disappear. Hee. Brother Magu, you can't be resurrected after death, please be more open-minded. Su Yang raised his head and looked over. The two of them looked at each other from a distance. I am determined to win the first place in the martial arts competition of hundreds of sects, but... Then... I'm sorry, you are wrong. I, Su Yang, am not the kind of spineless person. Shihan, you are too self-righteous. In my heart, I have never regarded you as a relative. Zhang Magu nodded, took a deep breath, and then said his sister's name. Soon, the group arrived at Zhifeng Inn. Su Yuya was still resting, so Su Yang did not disturb her. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 526. Zhang Yuge. Zhang Magu's sister is actually named Zhang Yuge. Hearing this name, Su Yang was dumbfounded on the spot, and the hand holding the wine bowl hung in the air. What the hell? Zhang Yuge, isn't this Feixuan's best friend? She's also a photography major. I met her some time ago. This Zhang Yuge had short hair and liked to wear jazz uniforms. At that time, Su Yang thought he was a man. Seeing Zhang Yuge and Li Feixuan hugging and kissing each other, and Li Feixuan calling Zhang Yuge brother, Su Yang was very angry. Later I found out that what concubine Li was shouting was Gege, and Zhang Yuge was a girl with delicate and beautiful features. Could that Zhang Yuge be Zhang Magu's sister? According to what Brother Magu said, his sister is a genius in the ancient martial arts world and must be very strong. As for Feixuan's best friend named Zhang Yuge, I have noticed that there are no fluctuations in Genkai in her body. She cannot hide it from my perception. She must be an ordinary person. Besides, Brother Magu's sister is very dangerous. I'm afraid she has been tortured and killed by Ximen Huxiao. Thinking of this, Su Yang sighed and said to himself, forget it, it's probably just the same name. I don't need to bring it up, lest it turns into disappointment after giving Brother Magu hope. Young Master Su, what's wrong with you? At this time, Zhang Magu asked suspiciously when he saw Su Yang was stunned. Nothing. Su Yang shook his head, and then said, Zhang Yuge, Brother Magu, your sister is so well named. Ha ha ha, it's really good. Brother Magu, your dad must really like watching SpongeBob SquarePants. Did he give you a nickname, such as, Patrick Star? As soon as the words came out of his mouth, Wang Fuegui realized that it seemed not good for him to do this. It was really inappropriate to joke about Zhang Magu's dead sister's name. As a result, Wang Fuegui felt a little embarrassed and wanted to explain. Haha, my dad doesn't like to watch it, but my mom likes to watch SpongeBob SquarePants. However, Zhang Magoo didn't pay attention, and then smiled and said, Brother Fuegui, you are really my good brother, you even guessed my nickname. Cough. Wang Fuegui coughed dryly and couldn't help but ask, well, Brother Mugu, is your nickname really Pai Daxing? This, although I don't want to admit it, this is indeed true. Zhang Magoo touched the bridge of his nose awkwardly, then rolled up his sleeves, exposed his left arm, and said helplessly, Brother Fuegui, young Master Su, you see, this is when I became an adult at the age of 18, my mother asked someone to tattoo it for me. Mine is Patrick, and my sister has Squidward tattooed on her arm. Su Yang and Wang Fuegui looked over curiously, and saw a Patrick star tattoo on Zhang Magoo's arm. Although it is only the size of a fist, it is lifelike. Talent, I'm speechless, Wang Fuegui was dumbfounded. Okay, let's toast your sister with a drink at this time, Su Yang said. Wang Fuegui and Zhang Magoo naturally had no objections. They picked up their wine bowls and drank the wine in one gulp. This topic was dismissed. After Zhang Magoo was briefly sad, he quickly came out of the gloom. People cannot be resurrected after death, but living people must look forward. In the past 2 years, Zhang Magoo has been too tired. He forgets to eat and sleep every day to practice, pushing himself very hard. However, since he surrendered to Ximen Huxiao in the ring, he had already gained relief. Next, the three of them gathered together, talking and laughing, and the whole jar of the tavern's own brewed wine, which had a slightly lower alcohol content, had been drained. It was rare to be happy tonight, so Su Yang did not use spiritual energy to dissolve the alcohol, so he became drunk and felt dizzy. He has not been in this state for a long time. Brother Mugu, after 3 rounds of wine and 5 tastes of food, how about we collaborate on a song? At this time, the drunk Wang Fuegui excitedly suggested. Haha, okay, I wish I could have asked for it. Zhang Magoo was instantly excited and stood up suddenly. He staggered and almost fell down. Fortunately, Cai Wang Fuegui held him up, otherwise he would have to lie on the ground. Brother Mugu, you don't have a good drinking capacity. You can't stand even after just a few drinks, Wang Fuegui mocked. But as soon as he finished speaking, he felt like the world was spinning, and his body tilted and fell to the ground. Zhang Magoo stood up unsteadily and couldn't help but mutter, what's going on? Is it because I drank too much and was dazzled? When Wang Fuegui heard this, his expression instantly became solemn, and he said seriously, don't worry, Brother Mugu, I will help you look for it, and we will definitely find it. Okay, in ancient times, there was Boyaziki, where high mountains met flowing water. Today, there are twilight drums of wealth and honor, and big drums and suanas. Thinking about that scene makes me excited. As a descendant of Fen Yang, both the big drum and the small drum must be carried with you. Wang Fuegui has always been wearing long-sleeved clothes, with only his hands exposed. If you don't look carefully, you can't tell that both hands are left. Have to. Brother Fuegui, it's bad, I lost something very important, I can't cooperate with you. At this time, Zhang Magoo suddenly said. Zhang Magoo was so excited that he quickly picked up the big animal skin drum placed next to him. 2 big idiots. So, Zhang Magoo looked at Wang Fuegui's arm again. Zhang Magoo's face was solemn and he said seriously, my big animal skin drum is missing, what should I do? Brother Fuegui, it is a treasure passed down from my ancestors. At this time, Zhang Magoo was drunk, carrying the big animal skin drum, and his body was swaying a little. When Zhang Magoo heard this, he was furious and his eyes were red. After thanking Su Yang, he carried the animal skin drum and walked drunkenly to the west. Wang Fuegui lowered his head and swayed around, trying to find the animal skin drum for Zhang Magoo. When Zhang Magu came to drink, he naturally brought the animal skin drum with him, which he had just placed next to the wine table. But I don't want to be provoked, so I have to send them away. Beside, Wang Fugui had already started to play the suana, and the cadence of the sound was very loud. Haha, brother Fugui, you are the only one who still laughs at me. Wait, holy shit, what the hell, brother Fugui, why do you have two identical arms? Damn, what the hell, some blind bitch dared to steal my drum. Young Master Su, thank you for reminding me. You are indeed my good brother. Su Yang shook his head and then said, Young Master Wang, brother Mugu, I just saw a person steal your drum and run to the west. You can chase after him and take a look. I'll stay and watch on the wine table. Su Yang couldn't stand it anymore and was about to remind him, but suddenly he remembered that if they found the animal skin drum, wouldn't the two of them have to play it live? As he said this, Wang Fugui took out the suana with a thought in his mind. Where can such a big drum go? Su Yang next to him thought something was really lost. When he heard this, he looked at the big animal skin drum that was held by Zhang Magu on his shoulder, and suddenly a black line appeared. Drum. What, you lost your animal skin drum? Isn't this a big fool? When he looked over, Wang Fugui had already arranged his clothes and muttered, Brother Mugu, if you are not handy, come and perform quickly. I can't wait to play the suana. Before falling, he did not forget to hold Zhang Magu, so that the two fell to the ground together, with Zhang Magu pressing on Wang Fugui. Wang Fugui stopped playing the suana and asked hurriedly, what is missing? Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 527. Brother Mugu, wait for me. Wang Fugui's eyes were blurred after drinking, and he followed closely behind him. The walking style of the two of them is comparable to that of zombies, especially Zhang Magu, who is particularly funny. Two idiots, I'm laughing so hard. Su Yang also drank too much. He was laughing and feeling very happy at the moment. Once people drink alcohol, they become very emotional. Whether they are happy, sad, or angry, they will be infinitely amplified. Su Yang was in a good mood now. He was sitting at the wine table alone, drinking a small drink comfortably, feeling very uncomfortable. Su Yang, Yu is seriously injured and unconscious. Do you still have the heart to drink here? At this moment, Qian Shangxiu, dressed in white, quietly arrived and stood in front of Su Yang, with a slight hint of anger on her beautiful jade face. It's Shuer. Su Yang was in a tipsy state and smiled softly, after my treatment, Yu is no longer seriously ill, and she is awake now and is eating at Zhifeng Inn. Am I right? Su Yang. Qian Shangxiu showed a smile and said with a smile, cultivators are indeed different. From such a distance, you can sense what Yu is doing. Haha, not all cultivators have this ability, it's just that you and I are different. Su Yang smiled, then suddenly grabbed Qian Shangxiu's jade hand, and while he was drinking, he said domineeringly, Come, Shuer, lie in my arms, I want to be close to you. What's wrong with you? Did you drink fake wine? Qian Shangxiu frowned and wanted to shake off Su Yang's hand. Since they met, Su Yang has behaved like a gentleman. He has always kept a distance from Qian Shangxiu. He only held hands once or twice, and other than that, he had no other contact. Now Su Yang actually proposed to let her lie in his arms, which caught Qian Shangxiu off guard. However, Su Yang was so drunk that he held on tightly with his right hand, making Qian Shangxiu unable to break away. Wudaing ancient town, a remote tavern, the moonlight is like water, pouring down. The antique building is surrounded by the chirping of insects and birds, the breeze is just right, and the time is not dry. Far away, in the dark. Bistro. Master Modeo, who was deep in the clouds, saw this scene and his face turned green with anger. Amodeo's teeth were almost broken when he bit it, and he shed 2 lines of tears, feeling like he wanted to die. Amodeo was not angry. On the contrary, he liked Jian Shangxiu even more and always supported Jian Shangxiu silently behind his back. Even after Jian Shangxiu came back and gave birth to a pair of twins, Amodeo didn't mind. He was still willing to accept Jian Shangxiu and wanted to do his best to be a stepfather. Even though Jian Shangxiu left Jufeng Mountain and disappeared for several years, Amodeo still missed her. Su Yang, just wait for me. After the first round of the 100 sex competition, I and several other forces have drawn lots to determine the opponents for the 20 people who have advanced. Disciple, I am your master Juju's son. There is a tavern 50 miles north of Wudaing ancient town. I will wait for you there. At this time. Damn it! Why are ghosts crying and wolves howling in the middle of the night? Today's Wudaing ancient town has long been filled with geniuses and elites from all the major forces in the ancient martial arts world. Amodeo suddenly shouted loudly and was naturally ostracized by everyone. A cut plum blossom stands proudly in the snow, just for the fragrance of my beloved, to love what I love without any regrets. This situation is so beautiful. At this moment. But why is it a tavern again? Amodeo shouted hysterically. After 4 or 5 years of waiting, Amodeo had no complaints or regrets. Tavern. Jian Shangxiu wouldn't give him a chance, not even the slightest chance. In the past 4 or 5 years, Amodeo had expressed his feelings to Jian Shangxiu more than once, but all he got in exchange was ruthless rejection. It's so noisy, go, 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 if you shout again I will kill you. Amodeo was alone and naturally did not dare to be arrogant. After throwing a harsh word at Su Yang from a distance, he ran away in despair. Jian Shangxiu said seriously, Su Yang, stop fooling around and talk to you about business. The other side. At this moment, Amodeo's cell phone rang, and the sad music of Yuji and Mei instantly sounded all around, which was particularly suitable for the occasion. He loved Jian Shangxiu deeply, and this love had been in his heart for more than 10 years. Amodeo became angry and hammered the towering tree next to him, his eyes filled with anger. Who the hell, you scared me. Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 528. Who? Su Yang suddenly became serious and asked doubtfully, have I seen it? Her name is Shamasei, and she comes from Ganga Mountain, Jian Shangxiu responded. Shamashi. Su Yang frowned and said, what kind of name is this? Why is it so strange? Shamasei is from the Yi ethnic group and is a Yi girl. Jian Shangxiu smiled softly and said, these 4 words mean beauty in the Yi people. Shamasei is indeed worthy of this name. She is very beautiful. It's just that she has never shown up before, so no one in the ancient martial arts world knows about her. Otherwise, Lan Miao and I's status will be challenged. Jian Shangxiu said with a playful smile, nowadays, there are many young geniuses who give her a name, 11 Shayi, Nan Shuebe Lan 11 Shayi. Su Yang, don't you want to get to know her and have a romantic encounter with her? Cut. When Su Yang heard this, he curled his lips and said, what the hell 11 Shayi, no matter how beautiful she is, she's not as beautiful as Shue'er. Tomorrow's 100 sex martial arts competition, you just have to see if I can kill her or not. Glib tongue. Jian Shangxiu glanced at Su Yang with a smile, then reminded him seriously, this Shamasei is really powerful. Su Yang, you must not be careless. During her competition, Yu Yu was injured by Song Qing Yang. I took Yu Yu away from the scene. I didn't see her ability, but she has been listed as the dark horse of this 100 sex competition. Together with Wang Yuiji, geniuses who belong to the same level. Jian Shangxiu said seriously, in the 100 sex martial arts arena, it doesn't matter life or death. Su Yang, if you feel that you are not her opponent, you must surrender as soon as possible. Don't be reckless. Well, I understand. Wang Fuegui held his Suana in his arms, his cheeks bulging, and he played with great vigor. This startled Su Yang and Qian Shangxiu, and they immediately ended their actions. Qian Shangxiu nodded, and then said, "It's getting late, I'm going back to Jufeng in first, you drink slowly." "Well, as long as you have an idea." "Fuck you, sir. I see you two are drunk. I'm going to break your bones right now." Su Yang looked over angrily, only to find Wang Fuegui and Zhang Megu staggering over. Su Yang is at the peak of the 9th level of Qi training, and is only one step away from building a foundation. Coupled with the fact that he is so far away, the 100 generations of reincarnation fist, the blood sacrifice secret technique, and various treasures, his combat power is ridiculously strong, not to mention Wu Dang's chain formations. "Who is so ignorant that you dare to ruin my good deeds?" "Young Master Su, of course we saw it." Su Yang gritted his teeth angrily and said, "Young Master Wang, Zhang Megu, what are you doing? Can't you see that I am romantically involved with Schwerer? Damn it, Mr. Su, stop fighting. I won't brag about the head office. It's rare to see a sweet moment between you and your sister-in-law. Brother Fuegui and I decided to play some music for you to add a romantic atmosphere," Zhang Megu said with a smile. Zhang Megu carried the animal skin drum and said with a smile, "But don't people in the upper class like to play some music during romantic moments? I have seen many Western restaurants that have music performers. Also, Brother Megu and I are collaborating on a talent show, so the appearance fee should be at least as good as that of an A-list star. No matter what, we have to pay 1.8 million. Collapse. Haha, you don't need to answer. I understand that you must be very moved right now." Suddenly, the deafening sound of an animal skin drum and the sharp and melodious sound of a suana came from not far away. Su Yang had a dark face, clenched his fists and walked towards Wang Fuegui and Zhang Megu fiercely. "Wait a minute, young Master Su, this is not my fault, it was Brother Fuegui's idea." "What the hell? Who?" The two were still in a drunken state, dizzy and walking like zombies. Wang Fuegui said righteously, "However, we are good brothers, this is what we should do, no need to thank us." "Brother Fuegui, I'm sorry. Brothers are birds of the same forest. When disaster strikes, they fly separately. Brothers are used for betrayal." Wang Fuegui said magnanimously, "But we are good brothers, let's do this, I will give you a discount, you." "Young Master Su." Wang Fuegui next to him said proudly, "This is my idea. How about it? Isn't it great?" Su Yang nodded, but he didn't care in his heart. He didn't take Shamasei seriously at all. "Damn it, Brother Megu, you are so dishonest. I treat you as my brother in vain, and you betrayed me." Tweet. Qian Shangxiu stood nearby, her face flushed, tidying up her hair shyly. Collapse. As for Zhang Megu, he seemed to have regained his composure. He found a large animal skin drum on his shoulder, and Benbenbenpai worked hard. Nowadays, you are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 529. Outside the pub. Seeing the shameless Wang Fuegui and Zhang Megu, Su Yang couldn't help it anymore and started fighting. The scene was once very chaotic. Seeing this, Qian Shangxiu smiled and then jumped away from the scene. After fighting for more than 10 minutes, Su Yang stopped, and Wang Fuegui and Zhang Megu also sobered up. Certainly, it was impossible for Su Yang to really fight, just to make a fuss. The three of them sat down and drank for a while. Wang Fuegui and Zhang Megu became more energetic as they chatted and insisted on performing their talents again. Su Yang didn't want his ears to be contaminated, so he left. Su Yang originally lived in Taishan Hotel, but during the day, he had just had a quarrel with the owner of Mount Tai, so he didn't want to go to Taishan Hotel to avoid feeling uncomfortable. So, Su Yang showed how close he was to the end of the world and soon arrived at Jufeng Inn. When he arrived, Su Yu had eaten and had already rested. Therefore, Su Yang did not disturb Su Yu, but asked people from Jufeng Mountain to arrange a room for him. "Master Su, please come upstairs." The ancient warriors of Jufeng Mountain, whether they were young prodigies or elders who protected the prodigies, were very respectful to Su Yang and immediately arranged the best room for Su Yang. "Thank you." After thanking him, Su Yang strode upstairs to a room on the 5th floor and pushed the door open. Immediately afterwards, Ari's figure appeared. From the beginning to the end, Ali never left Su Yang's side, just hiding in the dark. "Master, that Mo Deo, received a call and left Wuodang ancient town at this time," Ali whispered. "Well, I noticed it." Su Yang smiled softly, and then said, "Don't worry about this person, his poison skills are far inferior to his old poison. However, if he dares to take advantage of Shuer again, I will not let him off lightly." At the end of the sentence, Su Yang's eyes were extremely cold. All along, in his eyes, Mo Deo was just an ant, and he had never regarded Mo Deo as an opponent. "Ari." Suddenly, Su Yang thought of something and asked, "Where did that boy Suzing go? Why is there no trace of him in Wuodang?" Now, Su Yang controls Wuodang's chain formation, and every plant and tree in Wuodang is under his control as long as he wants. "Master, while you were drinking, I went to see Yu. After chatting with Yu for a while, she said that Zing was taken away by her mother." Ali responded, "Later I found out that Mistress Jianshan Snow sent someone to send Suzing back to Jufeng Mountain. It seems that because he ran away from home, she wanted to put him in solitary confinement. Haha, this brat deserves it. He should be punished severely." Su Yang smiled and stopped thinking about it. Then he sat cross-legged on the bed and began to meditate. In these 2 days, Su Yang gained a lot. First, he got the spire of the Void Tower, and then he got the chain formation of Wuodang Mountain. However, it is a pity that the spire cannot be connected to the Void Tower now. The Void Tower currently only has the lower 3 floors, which must be connected one by one. I heard Yu mention it before, saying that the treasure of the old leader of Jufeng Mountain is most likely the 4th floor of the Void Tower. The treasure was stolen by Suzing when he ran away from home. Now that Suzing has returned to Jufeng Mountain, the treasure must have been brought back to Jufeng Mountain. After the 100 sex martial arts competition was over, it was necessary for him to go to Jufeng Mountain and see it with his own eyes. If it is really the 4th floor of the Void Tower, I must get it back no matter what. The Void Tower is extremely powerful. Although Su Yang cannot fully activate the Void Tower yet, he is prepared for any danger. Speaking of strength, Su Yang can now step into the foundation building realm at any time, but he wants to experience another hardy battle. Only by experiencing the baptism of battle will the foundation be more solid, and only by working steadily can we achieve better achievements. Shamashi. Haha, I don't know if she can let me use my full strength. I'm actually looking forward to tomorrow's competition. Su Yang murmured to himself, then closed his eyes slightly and began to run the 9 nether prison suppression technique. Just like that, it was a night without words. The second day. The sun is shining. Today is the day when hundreds of sects will enter their 20s in the martial arts competition, and the melon-eating team in the ancient martial arts world has been waiting in the ring for a long time. The top 20 in the 100 sects martial arts competition are full of talents. The first track is Taoist priest Wang Yet. The second track is Ximen Lonjian. The third track is Song Qing Yang. The fourth track is Zhao Sunhuan, the genius of the sword sect. The fifth track, Wang Fuegui. After learning that the person who had the bye was Wang Ye, the scene immediately exploded, and most of the people who were eating melon expressed their dissatisfaction. Start in the morning and keep playing. If you can't finish it in one day, you will play for 2 days. After the 10 games are over, the next round of 10 to 5 will be played. Moreover, the first competition was between him and Shama Shai, so Su Yang came to the scene early. In the 10th track, Buddha has no foundation. Wan Kong Gaiun continued, strictly speaking, this matter is indeed a secret operation. And this person is Taoist priest Wang Ye of Liudang. However, Su Yang and Ximen Huxiao were exceptions. Both of them voluntarily gave up. As a result, there are 3 more top geniuses, one is Su Yang, one is Ximen Huxiao, and one is Mr. Mo Dao. Song Qing Yang, who was originally promoted in the 3rd track, was eliminated by Su Yang, so in this round, one person received a bye and was directly promoted. There is definitely a shady story. Track 6, Zhao's Hiruo. Wan Kong Gaiun smiled softly and said, if the 19 contestants have a grudge, they can bring it up, and we old guys can draw a bye spot on the spot. Wang Ye is so strong, let's fight him. Since Wang Ye is too strong, that's why we decided to give him a bye. However, the purpose of doing this is to be fair and give other contestants of equal strength an extra chance to advance to the top 10. There is also Mr. Mo Dao from the depths of the clouds, who is ridiculously strong and also advanced in the Easter tournament. The 7th track is Linyuan, a small border town. The 9th track, Shijushan. On the 12th track, Du Fei Yang from the Du family in Shenzhen City. Su Yang's opponent is Shamashi. This is unfair, brothers, resist the secret operation. Yes, the 100 sex martial arts competition was held in Liudang, but Wang Ye had a bye. What a fool. As for the other players who advanced through the resurrection competition, there is nothing to fear. As soon as these words came out, many geniuses who had advanced to the top 20 panicked and their faces changed. What if Wang Ye participates in the competition and becomes his opponent? The genius who advanced to the Easter tournament should not have excelled, after all, he lost to the one who advanced earlier. Then came 8 resurrection games. On the 8th track, Huang Yinhu, the successor of Foshan kicking technique. Seeing that things were getting worse and worse, and having no choice but to do anything, Wan Kong Gaiun stood up and spoke out. The 11th track, Ganga Mountain Shama Shai. If Wang Ye doesn't get a bye, there is a high probability that one of the 19 contestants on the field will be directly crushed and eliminated. Everyone, the bye quota is indeed not determined by luck, but selected by us old guys together. I originally wanted to choose between Fozawuji and Wang Ye, but considering that Fozawuji was trapped by love and had not advanced in Buddhism for 3 years, I chose Wang Ye. Today there are 20 contestants and 10 competitions, just like the resurrection competition, all taking place in the middle arena. Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 530. This year hundreds of sects will compete in martial arts, and there will be as many strong men as clouds. But there are only 2 people who are recognized as the strongest geniuses. One is Wudane Wanjai, and the other is Fozawuji. It is reasonable for these old antiques on high seats to select the strongest talent to get a bye in the crucial competition of 20 to 10. As a result, there are only 2 candidates for the bye. But the Buddha's disciple Wuji was trapped by love and left Bodhi Mountain because of Lan Miaoi. In the past 3 years, Buddhism has stopped making progress, so he was excluded. Therefore, the bye spot was given to Wudane Wanjai. This was not something Wudane fought for Wang Ye, but a unanimous decision of several old antiques. Even Ximen Fenjiun strongly agreed. He was not sure that his 2 descendants could beat Wang Ye. Giving Wang Ye a bye first was undoubtedly the most correct decision. Let's draw lots. There are so many geniuses in the 100 sex martial arts competition this year. Who would be afraid of Taoist priest Wang Ye, right? Mr. Zyman. That's right. There is also second young Master Zyman. Don't be a coward. If you fight Taoist Wang Ye, he may not be able to beat you. Master Shijushin, you are the genius of the place of Zen. Mount Tai is the first of the 5 mountains. You have also practiced the magical power of Mount Tai. You are afraid of Wool and you are going to fight with that boy named Wang. I support you. Mrs. Hiruo, your swordsmanship is superb, and you also have the lotus sword, the treasure of Mount Ime. A mere Taoist priest is nothing to fear. There were many spectators at the scene, and it was not a big deal to eat melons. When they heard Wang Kongyun propose to draw lots, they all started to get angry. But the contestants on the ring couldn't help but tremble and slap you. Even the arrogant geniuses like Zyman Longian, Zyman Tiger Roar, and Shijushin were unwilling to fight Wang Ye and kept silent. I think it's okay. At this moment, Su Yang stood up and smiled softly, for the sake of fairness, let's draw lots to determine the buys. Su Yang. Next to him, Zyman Huxiao gritted his teeth and said, if you don't speak, no one will treat you as a mute. What, I can't speak anymore. Su Yang raised his eyebrows, then stared at Zyman Huxiao, and sneered, Zyman Huxiao, are you afraid of Taoist Wang Ye? Humph, I just don't want to waste time. Zyman Huxiao was definitely afraid, but in this case, he naturally couldn't admit it, otherwise it would be embarrassing, so he casually excused himself. What's the point? Just draw lots and it'll be done in a few minutes, Su Yang said with a smile. Su Yang. At this time, Wang Kongyun moved his gaze and asked, are you sure you want to draw lots? Okay, Su Yang nodded. Why? Wang Kongyun asked doubtfully. Why? When Su Yang heard this, he sighed and said seriously, I took a look, I am the first one to take the stage, and my opponent is a beauty from the Yi ethnic group, Shama Shai. I really don't want to fight with a beautiful woman in the ring. I'm afraid that I'll have to fight to get emotionally involved. Su Yang continued, if we fight on the bed, I might consider it. As soon as these words came out, there was a burst of laughter. Damn it, this descendant of the Su family is really talented. Fighting on the bed, ha ha ha. Before it even started, he started teasing Shamashi. Absolutely. Girl of the Yi ethnic group, Su Yang is teasing you, can you bear this? If it were me, I would definitely not tolerate him. I would have to fight with him on the bed to see who is stronger. The people who eat melons say something to each other, and then they wait to watch the excitement. However, Shamasei seemed not to hear it and stood motionless, with the expression on his face unchanged. Su Yang, aren't you afraid that you will have bad luck and meet my disciple Wang Ye in the 20-10 competition? At this time, Wang Kongyun asked with a smile. Not afraid. Su Yang shook his head and smiled softly, if you don't even have this kind of self-confidence, how can you get the first place in 100 sex martial arts competitions? How can you be the leader of the Ancient Martial Arts Alliance? How can you take charge of the ancient martial arts world? I hope that I will meet Wang Ye and trample him under my feet, using his illustrious reputation to pave the way for my invincibility, Su Yang said sternly. Mad. You actually want to use Taoist Master Wang Ye as a stepping stone. This is so arrogant. For a moment, everyone looked at Su Yang. Master. At this time, Wang Ye took a step forward and said, since Su Yang wants to draw lots, let's do it. I also look forward to competing with him in the first game. Wang Kongyun nodded, then looked around at the other geniuses who had been promoted, and asked, do you have any different opinions? These people are all talented people and have their own pride. Even if they don't want to in their hearts, they will not stand up and oppose the drawing of lots. In addition, there are a total of 20 contestants, and my opponent is Wang Ye. The probability is very small. You can't be so lucky and you just happen to get Wang Ye, right? Brother Fenjian, Abbot Yuan Tong, what do you think? Do you want to draw lots? Wan Kongyun looked at the old antiques around him. Haha, I have no objection. Ximen Fenjian looked at Su Yang, smiled and said, although I don't like the remnant of the Su family, his invincible belief is worthy of praise. Not bad, then go for it. Amitba. Abbot Yuantong clasped his hands and said, all living beings are equal. We made a mistake from the beginning. We should not have determined the by quota. This is indeed unfair. Fortunately, there is still room for redemption. Although Abbot Yuantong did not give a direct answer, the meaning behind his words was clear. He agreed to draw lots. Several other people on the high seats also spoke in agreement. Wan Kongyun didn't do any ink, and immediately arranged for the Taoist priests from Tianji sect to prepare the lottery ceremony and set the rules. Whoever gets a buy will swap with Wang Ye. For example, A's opponent was originally B. If A got a buy, then A would successfully advance to the top 10. And Wang Ye became A and wanted to compete with B. Just like that, under the witness of everyone present, the lottery ceremony began. Soon, the results were announced. The person who gets a buy in this game is. Wan Kongyun glanced at the name in his hand, his eyes fell on Su Yang, and then said, Su family, Su Yang. Wow! As soon as the results came out, the scene was boiling again. Worry, this guy is so lucky. Ha ha ha, interesting. Indeed, brave people are deeply favored by God. The other geniuses finally breathed a sigh of relief, but Shamasa was confused. Just as the melon eaters said, the great geniuses were relieved and secretly glad that they had escaped disaster. As for Su Yang, he spread his hands helplessly. He really wanted to compete with Wang Ye. Because there were so many geniuses on the scene, probably only Wang Ye could have a hearty battle with him. Su Yang needed this battle if he wanted to build his foundation steadily, but now it seemed that he had no chance in the first round. Su Yang. At this time, Wang Ye, who was wearing a Taoist robe, strode up to Su Yang and said calmly, you are lucky, but unfortunately, in the face of real strength, luck is vulnerable. In all these years, no one has dared to challenge me. You are the first one and you want to trample me under your feet. I have to say that you are very brave. However, I have already set my sights on you. If I meet you in a 10-5 game, I will let you know the consequences of provoking me. After leaving a few words, Wang Ye looked away and jumped onto the middle stage, preparing to face Shamasai.